Hello, everyone. Welcome to the video, What a US CBD Company Needs to Know About the UK Market. I'm Layla Simpson, Head of External Affairs at the Association for the Cannabinoid Industry and the Centre for Medicinal Cannabis. The Association for the Cannabinoid Industry is a membership organisation committed to a safe, legal and well-regulated cannabinoid market in the UK. We are education partners with the Cannabist. With me, I have two of our members, Rosemary Mazanet, MD, PhD, and Chief Scientific Officer at Columbia Care, based in Boston, US.
Hi, nice to be here.
Thanks, Rosemary. I also have Chelsea Pipkin, Vice President of Quality at GenCanna, based in Kentucky, US.
Hi, thanks for having me join today.
And thanks to both of you for being panelists today. So in the UK, access to cannabis medicines is still restricted. However, this doesn't extend to CBD, and the UK CBD market has seen incredible growth over the last few years. In size, it's now overtaken the UK vitamin C and vitamin D markets combined. In this video, we'll discuss this exponential growth, how the market is developing, and the potential of the UK CBD market in 2021 and beyond. So if you're a US CBD company thinking of international expansion, or you're just interested in burgeoning CBD markets globally, we're pleased to take you in this video through what you need to know about the CBD market here in the UK. So our first question, I'd love to ask you, Chelsea, why is the UK market such an exciting place for CBD?
For GenCanna as a CBD manufacturer, it's exciting for us because the UK has provided the regulatory framework for the CBD to be sold legally and to be available to everyone who wants to have access to it. So, as a CBD manufacturer, that's important to us, and we look forward to being present in that market once we get through the novel foods process.
Fantastic, thank you. Yeah, novel foods is primary on a lot of CBD companies' minds in the UK, and we will touch on that later in the video. How about you, Rosemary? Why is the UK CBD market so exciting for you?
Well, in the US, many of the CBD manufacturers really ascribe to have a very high quality standard of product. And in the US, it's not rewarded because there really is no distinction. It's very hard to be able to state what your quality standards are. So it's very attractive that the UK is establishing standards and making sure that companies abide by them. And so, it's sort of you're rewarded on the margins that you can have on your products and on other things as well by already adhering to some standards to have those recognized. So that's why the US companies that are working with the ACI, are very happy to do so because, we make good products.
Fantastic and good to hear. So for me, as a member working, well, as a staffer for the Association for the Cannabinoid Industry, we ran a survey in November last year, 1 year ago exactly, with YouGov for the UK population, and found a fairly staggering 48% of the UK population said that they would buy CBD if it was in a regulated environment. At the moment, it's not regulated. The regulations are coming in, and we'll cover them a little bit later. But that's the opportunity. The size of the opportunity here in the UK is 48% of the population, which is enormous. So about 33 million people. So it's an exciting situation here in the UK. I'll just speak about the size of the market as well in terms of financial size. At the ACI, we've done a market sizing report for 2019. It was published at the end. And we found in that report that the size of the CBD market in the UK was worth £300 million. Now in US dollars, that's about 390 million. This same report did a forwards estimation of the CBD market in 2025. And they've suggested that the market's going to be worth £1 billion, or that's 1.3 billion US dollars. So it's a big market, and it's going to keep growing exponentially. Access to this market is it's very easy for anyone in the UK to go to a high street retailer, go to a pharmacist, pick up some CBD, buy it, and then consume it. Exceptionally easy. It's good for a lot of people. A lot of people find some therapeutic value in CBD. It helps a lot of people, but it's led to a situation where there is quite a massive variation in quality in the CBD that's on sale at the moment in the UK. You had an interesting take on this, Rosemary.
Well, the U.S. companies that are exporting product to have it imported into the U.K. Or any other country, there are importation standards. So it has to be exactly under the allotted THC level. These things are checked at the border, right? Where things that are made locally, anybody with a bathtub, can make a bathtub CBD. I'm exaggerating, obviously. But again, there's no mechanism by which to inspect any of these products if it doesn't go through an importation or exportation process right now. So, I think that we're very happy in the U.S. that those types of standards are going to be imposed, so that there's a level playing field, right? All of the products will have the same standards, at least with regard to the safety that they can impart to the customer.
Fantastic. And Rosemary, your bathtub analogy might not be too far off. But anyone can sell anything in the UK at the moment, for the moment, until March next year. And this time last year, the ACI did a study where we sampled CBD for sale in high street retailers and high street pharmacists. And we found some fairly shocking and disappointing results, really. 11 out of 29 CBD products had controlled substances in. And 11 of 29 as well had less than 50% of the advertised CBD in, with one product actually having no CBD in it at all. So on the shelf, it's labeled as CBD. A consumer would walk into this very well-known high street retailer, pick up this CBD and consume it, thinking it was CBD. No CBD actually in there. This study is a year old, but I have just in the last few days actually heard of a repeat study, which has found pretty much exactly the same results. So the industry, there's at the moment unregulated, very few quality checks, and that's led to the situation where you just don't know what CBD is actually in the bottle. However, I do want to say that there's a great variety of quality in the industry. There's the sort of bathtub CBD producers, but then there are also some really responsible CBD producers, retailers. I am really honoured to work with our members who are all working towards compliance. They all have integrity and really, as a group, setting the standards for the rest of the industry. So we do have some really, really responsible people in this industry as well. And hopefully that's where the whole industry is going towards, being a bit more responsible, ensuring that their products are safe. Which leads me very nicely onto our next question. What regulatory red tape do CBD companies have to navigate in order to sell CBD in the UK? And what are the opportunities in this environment? Rosemary, would you like to contribute?
Well, the red tape is, as I mentioned, being able to get past the docks or the airplanes, once they land, right? So, we have to meet a certain quality if we're going to import the product, or, it stays at customs, right? It has to be cleared by customs. So, we have to have COAs, we have to have, that's certificates of analysis that says exactly what's in it. It has to be signed by somebody or accepted by somebody who's a QP. So, there are a lot of things that have to happen. So there's quite a bit of red tape. But, once the novel food comes in, I think that it's red tape now because it's sort of there is no regulation, right? So, and because people don't know what is going to be enforced, the fact that enforcement, what CBDs will be allowed to be on shelves has been up in the air really for a while. When would enforcement start? how long can people, continue to sell, even though, things might not meet the standards that are going to be required in the future. These types of things have made it very unsettling, to people who want to make a market in the UK. So I think that, having standardization again is so key, because everybody can live with red tape as long as they know what it is, as long as it's not a moving target, right? When the red tape moves, that's kind of bad. If the red tape just is there, we'll all learn to jump over it. So, or comply with it, or go under it, whatever, but we'll be able to deal with it. So that, that's how I feel about the red tape. It's that, it's fine. It's required. It's not bad as long as it doesn't move.
Absolutely agree with you, Rosemary. And for those of you who may not know, novel foods is the establishment of ensuring that your CBD is safe, demonstrating that your CBD is safe for human consumption. The Food Standards Agency, FSA in the UK, which is the equivalent to the FDA, I believe, have set a deadline next March for all products, all companies that have CBD for sale in the UK to do studies on things like toxicology, absorption, distribution, to ensure that the CBD they're selling is safe for human consumption. That's what we're dealing with in the UK at the moment. I'd like to ask Chelsea, what's your experience of this regulatory red tape of novel foods at the moment?
And yeah, so far everything we've talked about with the red tape, I agree as well that the red tape for the industry as a whole is a great thing, because it provides that very established guideline and regulatory guidance on how to get past that red tape and what's required, and how not only Gincana or Columbia Care and all of the other partners in the ACI, but other manufacturers and companies as well, how can they be successful in entering into the UK market and be successful with the novel foods process, which what I've learned so far is quite challenging and will continue to be challenging. There's a number of requirements, and sometimes the laws are written just a little bit differently than what we in the US have experience reading and interpreting. And so far, we have learned a lot and will continue to learn a lot, and value our partnership with the members of the consortium and also ACI. So again, I think it's a wonderful thing for the industry as a whole.
Great to hear. Thank you for sharing that, Chelsea. And just the ACI, as a membership organisation, we support a safe and compliant CBD industry. We have been in talks with the FSA all year to try and clarify what their requirements are for all of our CBD companies. We've successfully lobbied for an extension to their deadline at the beginning of the year. And so we're working to clarify what exactly they want so that we can translate that to our members and make sure that everyone's moving towards compliance. Rosemary, you mentioned enforcement earlier, and that's also something that the ACI, we've been engaging directly with trading standards, who are responsible for enforcing novel foods beyond the deadline. So technically, any CBD that doesn't have an associated application validated, I think, or is it authorized, validated, will stand to have their products removed from the shelves of retailers beyond the deadline, which is 31st of March next year. So we at the ACI have been liaising directly with trading standards, trying to educate their officers on the ground about the unusual situation that CBD is in, and working with them directly so that we can keep on top of enforcement and see what their plans are in that area. Chelsea, you mentioned the consortium, which is really interesting thing to communicate on this video, I think. So every CBD for sale needs to have novel foods status. It can be quite expensive to get this if you're just doing your application on your own. So what the ACI have done successfully is set up a consortium to share the costs amongst our members of doing these studies, whilst at the same time protecting individual IP. And I'm very pleased that both Rosemary and Chelsea are involved with this. Do either of you, would you like to share your experience so far? We're working through it at the moment. It's a live project.
Well, I just want, first of all, I just want to say that, you know, if it weren't for the ACI, I think we would all be in over our heads, individual companies. I think we would all be in over our heads in trying to understand really what was going to be required at the end of the day. So I think that, you know, having the ability to have a trade group, and, you know, Chelsea, I think that the people in our industry are so incredibly collaborative. We really are, you know, you know, people really are coming together to try to make sure that, you know, everybody can get over the finish line, that wants to meet, everybody that wants to meet that standard is able to get over the finish line, so that they'll have products that are going to be legally allowed to be on shelves. And so, you know, if it weren't for the ACI, I think that everybody would be off on their own, hiring expensive consultants who would give you, you know, uninformed opinions about, you know, what does the FSA really want? What do they really mean? What is the real deadline? And so, you know, this has been really crucial to really hammer home an understanding, which I don't think any of the individual companies could have been able to do on our own. And so, you know, it's been the collaboration and everything in this field, everything has really been fabulous, I think, in getting this together, so that we understand the enforcement, and we understand this isn't, no one's kidding here. You know, that if you don't have a validated application by a certain date, your products are going, they're coming off this, you know, this is really, the clock is ticking. And, you know, that's, I think making sure that everybody understood that was very important. So thank you.
And Rosemary, you said it so well, I don't have anything to add.
Well, thanks.
You let me co-write it. What do you mean?
Thanks very much for sharing that, Rosemary. It is really our pleasure. This is why we exist. Our aim is to encourage those who are really invested in a safe and compliant CBD industry. We want to ease their route into the industry, and it's an absolute pleasure working with you as well. I should just mention at this point, before we move on to the next question, that the ACI, we do have access to some very experienced pharmacists, food safety experts, legal advisors. We've got a whole host of experts that we can connect our members with. And it really, getting novel foods authorization is a task. It is a task, and it's good to have people around you helping you navigating it with you, coming up against obstacles and managing them together. So yeah, it's an interesting journey, isn't it? I would love to ask the both of you, what are the main lessons you've learned from being involved in the UK CBD industry? Rosemary?
The main lessons I've learned in being in the UK is, there's a very important one, and that is that the UK views CBD a little bit differently perhaps than in the US, a little more medical. So, you know, in the US, I'm generalizing, but you know, that's okay. You know, it's seen as a wellness, it's seen as a million different things. Okay. You know, we know that CBD does something because, you know, Epidiolex was able to be approved globally because of the effect that it has in very high doses on the central nervous system, right? So we know that good things can happen. Okay, you know, we know that other things can happen, but we don't know what dose we need. We don't know, you know, there's so many unknowns, but we know that something's happening. But I think that in the UK, it's been particularly gratifying that actually your pain experts and the NHS Trust, so pain experts from Imperial College London, actually recommended that for people who have severe pain, they could start taking CBD twice a day in a low dose. And it's only after they don't respond to CBD once they escalate the dose up that they could perhaps try medical cannabis. So, you know, the fact that any physician group is saying that there's something good about CBD and it may be beneficial outside of the Epidiolex experience is fabulous. So, you know, it helps a lot for us to be working in the UK and bring some of that understanding and some of those opinions back to the US, and try to get the similar types of arguments made in the US. It's seen as sort of fluff in the US more, let's put it in sunscreen, I'm saying to, but it's a little more like fluff, where the UK it's taken more seriously. And I wish that we could have it taken more seriously in the US also, because I think it does have an effect.
Fascinating. How about you, Chelsea? What's the main lessons you've learned?
I think that Rosemary led off with very good points there, and from a different perspective as Gincana being a CBD manufacturer, what we've learned is that the outline for that regulatory framework is present in the UK, and we're hopeful that as we continue moving towards the novel foods validation and authorization, that we can learn more and help bring some of that structure and that framework and the regulatory side of things back into the US. And hopefully we'll see some similar progress with the FDA in establishing those regulatory guidelines, and establishing the framework at which we would do a similar process here in the United States.
Fantastic, thank you. It is exciting times in the UK. We are really leading the way globally with these regulations. So yeah, really interesting time to be involved in the UK. Thank you both for that input. If we take ourselves out of regulations for a second, even though it's primary at the moment, and let's just start to think about the market in 2021 and even beyond. What can you see coming up for us? What do you think are the main things that we're looking at in the future of the CBD market in the UK? Chelsea, do you have?
Yeah, definitely. As we approach 2021, we have the deadlines that about the regulatory that we're not going to discuss right now. But as those deadlines are looming, there's going to be smaller supply chain of more qualified companies and manufacturers to that UK market that can provide the validated product. And as 2021 continues, I predict that the UK market will see more authorized products emerging too, to give the UK market more variety and what's available for consumers that has gone through that novel foods authorization validation process. So there'll be more products available on the market that are safe and of high quality and available for everyone who might need it.
Well, that sounds absolutely fantastic, doesn't it? Rosemary, I'm interested to hear your take. What do you think 2021 and beyond will look like for the CBD market in the UK?
Well, I want to follow up exactly where Chelsea, had sort of had left off. And, I'm interested in having evidence of what it does. I'm a doctor by original training, right? And I want to understand where, who benefits the most from it. And you can't do that until you know what people are taking. So, again, if people with bathtub CBD, it may not work. Bathtub CBD may not work because it may actually not have much CBD in it, more bathtub, right? So, it's only one, the things that are good about the product, I think will only become more apparent once we actually have products that are exactly what they say they are. And that's really what I think is exciting. Is right now people are saying, well, how do we know CBD does anything? Well, let's make sure that people are taking CBD and know how much they're taking, and then let's see what we think is happening.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, fantastic. And the higher quality CBD is on sale, the better it can get, really. From my perspective, I can see that, well, the ACI have got a bit of work ahead of us to try and rebuild the trust with consumers and CBD. Consumers are aware that there's a great variety of CBD out there at the moment, and they're not quite sure what they're getting. They're not quite sure if it is what it says it is on the tin. So I'm really looking forward to these regulations, increasing the quality, absolutely, as you said, of the CBD on sale in the UK, and repairing and rebuilding that confidence. So the 48% of consumers in the UK that I mentioned at the beginning of this video have confidence and are actually buying the CBD that are out there and benefiting from it as well. We are also working to increase retailer confidence as well in the CBD that they're stocked, so that they feel confident that the CBD they're stocking is safe, it's compliant, it has integrity. So in 2021, we'll be connecting with our retailers here in the UK and bringing everybody up, having some standards in the industry. It's very exciting. I would also, I know we're talking about CBD on this video, but we are going to start seeing some other cannabinoids starting to become more popular. And now now the UK has established this novel foods process. It's likely that other cannabinoids will also go through this established process. The CBD is a bit of a guinea pig, really, for this process, and others will just follow. So we've got CBG coming up. All of the other cannabinoids, it's all to play with. Very exciting in the future. One other thing that I just mentioned about the future of CBD in the UK is that Brexit is happening at the end of December this year. And this separation from the EU market, it's very difficult to see what it will look like at this point. But it may give us a bit more authority to make unilateral decisions about our CBD market, about other cannabinoid markets in the UK. So it's a very interesting time to be English, to be British, and especially in the CBD market as well, with what's going on with the European Commission and potentially labelling CBD as narcotics for Europe. And if you would like to listen a bit more to what's going on there, then we've got the ACI has another video chaired by Mark Burbridge, they're talking a little bit more about the UK as global leaders in the CBD industry. So go and have a watch of their video. So I would love to ask you both, we've reached our final question. From your experience as Americans who have been working in the UK CBD market, do you have any advice that you would give US companies thinking about coming over and investing in the UK market? And what would that advice be? Rosemary, I'd love to hear yours, if you've got some.
Well, if you're just thinking about it now, it's a little bit late. Because we've been working on Chelsea and I have been working on our respective company dossiers for a year now to get everything compiled. But, again, I think that some of the evidence about what CBD does for people on a health and wellness basis may come out of the UK, some of the evidence. And, the evidence is ultimately what's going to drive the market. I'm not talking about FDA registration trials or anything like that. I'm just, talking about some evidence on a real world basis. But I think that, you need to have the right product and people need to be, looking at it in the right way. And I think the UK is, in the US, I think, we're going to have to regulate. I mean, there has to be, the FDA in the US is charged with making sure that consumer safety is safeguarded. So, they're going to have to do something soon. So watch what's happening, because I think it's going to happen.
Very interesting. Thank you, Rosemary. Chelsea, what advice would you give US companies?
I think Rosemary said it quite well, that if you're thinking about entering the UK market, you need to get started now, because the time is clicking, or time is counting down, and the sooner you get started, the sooner you'll be in the market. The deadlines are set in stone, but there's a lot of work to be done before. It's something that you can't do work on starting in February and be successful. So if you're interested, start now.
Great, thank you very much, both of you. That's good advice. And if you would like to hear more about the novel foods regulations coming in, if you'd like to hear if it's affecting you, if you'd like to hear more about the market, then please do get in touch with the ACI. We are here to support a safe and compliant CBD industry and work with people, with companies who really have that at their heart as well. So this brings us to the end of our video today. I would love to say thank you so much for joining me on the panel, Rosemary Mazanet, fantastic, and Chelsea Pipkin as well. And thanks for joining us for this video. I hope you've had an educational experience watching it. If you would like to join Rosemary and Chelsea as ACI members and explore what's happening in the UK industry, please do visit our booth at Voxpo. It's the Association for the Cannabinoid Industry, or just visit our website, www.theaci.co.uk, and send our team a message and we'll follow up. So we look forward to hearing from you, and I really hope you enjoy the rest of CBD Live.